What's up guys, my name is Ace, and it looks like Warzone is going to be right around the corner. There are a lot of rumors, and everything right now is pointing to the fact that Warzone is going to be dropping this coming Tuesday, which by the way is exactly on the halfway point of Season 2. And as a result, I wanted to talk about it a little bit in today's video, and I want to look at this from the lens of what can Warzone learn from Blackout, both good and bad, as well as some other games on the market. The main focus will be Blackout, but there are certain elements from other Battle Royale games and even non-Battle Royale games that I wanted to touch on as well. Now, of course, at this point, especially if Warzone is in fact launching next Tuesday, all of this stuff is set in stone, so it's not like this is going to make any difference or anything. It's just a topic I wanted to touch on and kind of share my hopes and fears for Warzone. Now, just to be clear, I haven't played Warzone yet, despite what many people on the internet seem to think. A lot of people think that I attended a capture event for this, which I did not. So I have pretty much the exact same information that you guys have. So hopping right into it, one of the big lessons that I would like Warzone to learn from Blackout is the ability to better communicate with teammates without having to use voice chat. Now this is also learning a little bit from Apex Legends because that is like the gold standard for communication without actually having to use game chat. But it is something that anytime I go back to play Blackout and I'm playing with a squad, I really feel like that area is kind of lacking. Even just marking something on the ground for your teammates, at least on console, the process feels really clunky and I just don't like that. Apex Legends really set the standard here, and I hope we see something similar to this in Warzone, not only for marking items, but also potentially marking areas that you want your teammates to pay attention to. This makes such a big difference, and it makes me a lot more comfortable as well just hopping in and queuing up for a random squads game where I just play with random people that it places me with. Now the good news is, based on some leaks that I don't want to talk about in too much detail, it looks like we might be seeing something like this coming to Warzone, which is quite exciting. Next up, something that was actually a positive with Blackout that I hope Warzone will learn is vehicle controls. In Blackout, the vehicle controls were very simple and intuitive, maybe a little more simple than some people would like, but I personally like the simplicity of those controls. It just felt very comfortable controlling the vehicles within Blackout, especially when I compare it to controlling vehicles in Modern Warfare. Like when you play Ground War, for instance, I've gotten used to the vehicle controls in that, but I just don't think it's as intuitive and as simple as Blackout was, and I would love to at least have the option to switch over to the Blackout style vehicle controls. Now, I'm not going to hold my breath for this one. I do think it might be a bit of a long shot to hope for this kind of thing. I'm just saying that I feel like Blackout did a really good job here, and it would be nice to have that option. Next up, something I really hope Warzone learns from other Battle Royale games on the market is I hope there's an ability to respawn squad mates into the game, like a respawn beacon of some sort from Apex Legends, or even maybe just like a wave respawn like we had in some of the Blackout modes, like Hot Pursuit, I believe, had the respawning. There were several modes that had that. Overall, I just hope there's a way to get people back in the game if they die right at the beginning, for instance, because nothing's more frustrating than having some fun with friends and everybody gets a really good start and they get really good loot at the beginning, maybe get a couple kills, but one of us dies, because then that player just has to sit there and spectate teammates for the next 15 to 20 minutes with absolutely no hope of getting back in the game. For them, the game is over and they're just sitting there watching. I personally really like having at least that little bit of hope that there's still a chance that you could get back into the game and have some fun with it. Now, I do feel like there should be a risk attached to this. This is why I prefer the respawn beacon style of thing that Apex has, because you actually have to go and collect the teammate's banner and then take that banner over to a respawn beacon, which could be a risky thing. There could be people camping it. But I just really like the depth that that adds to the game, as well as the little bit of hope that it adds to the game. Now, once again, the good news is it looks like something like this will exist within Warzone. It does sound a little bit complex based on the leaks that we've heard about, but it looks like there probably will be some way of respawning teammates once they've been killed, up to a certain point in the match. After a certain point, I get it, you shouldn't be able to revive teammates if there's only 10 people left in the game, for instance, but at least it is looking pretty promising in this area. Next up on my list here of something that I personally hope that Warzone learns from other Battle Royales like Blackout, and I'm gonna say it, Fortnite. I'm sorry, I know a lot of people, the moment you mention Fortnite's name, they don't want anything to do with it. But one thing that I personally prefer that Fortnite does over Blackout is a more simple style of weapon pickups. In Fortnite, you have different styles of weapons, and then for those different weapons, you have different rarity levels as well. So you can have a common one that's obviously the worst one, it has the worst stats, but then it can go all the way up to legendary or epic or whatever they call it. I haven't played Fortnite in a couple years. But I like the simplicity of that looting system compared to Blackout's looting system with weapons, where you pick up a weapon and it's just a base weapon with no attachments on it, and then throughout a match you have to find attachments for it as well to deck it out how you'd like. I found that process to be quite tedious, and there was a little too much micromanaging going on with attachments throughout a game. I personally prefer the much more simplistic nature of you pick up a gun and you just go with it. And throughout a match, you're likely to find more and more rare guns and better guns, and you just keep picking them up as you go. Now, the reason I prefer this is it just gives you less time thinking about your inventory and managing things and looking for the right attachment for your gun constantly. And you spend more time just picking it up and getting yourself into the fight. I prefer more action. I realize a lot of people will disagree with me on this, so maybe they could do a hybrid system where they do have the different rarity levels of guns with different sets of attachments on them. So you could just easily pick it up and go and it's already got attachments equipped, but then maybe also have the ability to pull attachments off of those and then swap them around if you wanted to. In either case, once again from the leaks, it does appear we will be seeing different rarity levels for weapons. However, we don't know exactly how this is going to be handled at this point. Moving on to the next thing on my list, and this is a big one when it comes to the future and longevity of Warzone compared to Blackout. I really hope the rumors are true that Warzone is going to be free to play and a separate client to Modern Warfare. Now, I realize the classified tab is within Modern Warfare itself, and that is Warzone because people have actually been getting into the Warzone menu through that classified tab. But that doesn't mean it's impossible to also have a separate client for Warzone for people that might not be interested in buying Modern Warfare in order to play Warzone. There are tons of people out there that love the Battle Royale genre, but they're not going to spend $60 to access a Battle Royale game when there's so much competition on the market that's either free to play or very cheap to get into, like $20 for instance. This was something that I do feel held Blackout back a decent amount, and it really held back Battlefield's Firestorm as well. I think both of those Battle Royales would have been much bigger successes if you didn't have to buy the full game just to access those modes. Additionally, looking into the future for when the next Call of Duty drops later this year, I don't want Warzone to just fade away along with Modern Warfare. I think it would be so much better to have that as a standalone sort of a thing that has its own team dedicated to it so they can keep it supported and keep updating it over the years. Now, this does kind of seem likely because there was a leaked promotional image for Warzone, and they didn't call it Modern Warfare Warzone, it was literally just called Call of Duty Warzone. So at least from the marketing, it does seem like they're treating it like a separate entity that's tied to the Modern Warfare universe, but not necessarily locked within the full game of Modern Warfare. But moving on to the next thing that I want Warzone to learn from Blackout, this is long-term challenges to work towards. This is something that I really feel Blackout completely screwed up on, at least in one particular area, and this is those stupid paint cans you had to scavenge for in order to unlock the Blackout camos. I thought that was an absolutely terrible implementation of long-term challenges, because it's not a challenge, it's just there's paint cans scattered everywhere, and you either play normally and maybe pick up the odd paint can here or there, or you just go in for like scavenging runs, where literally all you're doing is driving around on an ATV and picking up paint cans, which is not a very satisfying experience. And I don't know about you guys, but beyond the first week after those were added, I had no interest in even touching paint cans. I just would ignore them most of the time anyways, just because there was no satisfaction from doing that. So a big thing that I would love to see for Warzone is some actual long-term goals to work towards while playing it, that actually involve you doing something in-game aside from just going around and picking up paint cans or something similar to that. It seems like the plunder system that's been leaked could be promising. I don't know exactly how it's going to end up working, but something like that might be the way to go forward. Now, just so we're not focusing too much on the negative aspects of Blackout, one thing that I really like that Blackout did, and I feel they did a really good job with, for console at least, is the quick select menu. This is a great way to handle the relatively limited control scheme that you have with a controller compared to a mouse and keyboard. And I really liked how you could swap things on the fly while you're sprinting for the zone, for instance. You could swap around your equipment, activate perks, for instance. I hope we have a good menu system like that that's really easy to navigate for both controllers as well as mouse and keyboard. As for another relatively minor thing that I really liked about Blackout, and I would love to see return in Modern Warfare, but I don't think we'll be seeing it, this is the wingsuit. I really liked using the wingsuit in Blackout. I just thought it was a really cool way to get around the map, for instance. I loved jumping off the construction site, wingsuiting down, and then getting a crazy kill on somebody. But like I said, I don't really anticipate this will be coming to Warzone. I just think it would be a cool thing to take from Blackout for Warzone. Another thing that I think Blackout did quite a good job with is a really detailed combat record. So you could see exactly how many wins you had in solos, duos, as well as squads. And this is something that I didn't like about Apex Legends. I don't know if they've since changed this, but in Apex, there was no way of tracking how many wins in total you had for your entire career in Apex. I know there were like season trackers that you could get, so each season you could see how many wins you would get, or at least I think that was the case. But I really like having readily available stats that you can go in and you can find out all the little details of your performance throughout your career within the game. Blackout did a great job here. And this brings us to the last thing that I have on my list. There's a bunch of other little nitpicky things I could get into, but the last thing I have on my list here is I hope Warzone isn't going to just be a traditional battle royale game. I hope Warzone takes things to the next level, steps outside the box a little bit, and perhaps learns from one of the most popular PC games at the moment, Escape from Tarkov. I think there's a lot of potential to have a battle royale game that is actually a battle royale and it's framed in that manner, with various elements from a game like Escape from Tarkov, where it's more of just like an open world environment, where your goal is to go in there, find items of different values, and try to extract those items from the game, and those will be added to your account, like you own those items at that point. Keep in mind, I do have a pretty basic understanding of how Tarkov works, but that's the general gist of it from my understanding at least. And that goes along with the long-term goals as well with Warzone. I feel like there's a lot of potential here where within the context of a battle royale, you have other things that you can work towards that will progress things forward without you having to necessarily win the game. Of course, you still have that as the overall goal where you still want to be the last person or the last squad standing. But I think there's just so much opportunity for doing things outside of that that can benefit you in the long run. And this is, I think, going to be one of the big things that determines the success or failure of Warzone this time around. The Battle Royale market has been pretty saturated already, so I think something needs to come in and mix things up a little bit. And this is the area where I think there's a big opportunity for Warzone, and I hope we see something like this. But I guess we'll just have to wait and find out. I am quite confident it will be coming this coming Tuesday. It's not confirmed or anything at this point, but everything is pointing towards that. So I think we're going to be seeing the first trailer on Monday, and I think it's going to be dropping Tuesday, but we'll just have to wait and see. Of course, though, I'd like to know in the comments section below, what would you like Warzone to learn from Blackout, as well as other games on the market, in order for it to hook you and in order for the game mode to be successful long term? If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.